Here's this NBC News Special Report.
This is an NBC News Special Report. Here's Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie.
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. A verdict has been reached in former President Donald Trump's New York criminal trial.
And we are just moments away now from learning what that verdict will be. As you know, cameras have not been allowed in the courtroom, but there it is, the courthouse, where in a few moments, our reporters inside will be able to transmit to us the results of this verdict in real time. We will bring you that information live as it happens, and we do expect it in the next few minutes.
This is a landmark case, as you know, the first criminal trial against a former president or presumptive nominee to be the next one. Mr. Trump is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records stemming from an alleged hush money scheme to pay off adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 election. He has pleaded not guilty and denied their alleged sexual encounter, but his fate has just been decided by the jury.
It is for Manhattan. Oh, here we go. Let's listen. Laura, go.
Guys, we need to go. We need to go.
Go.
Okay, here we go. We have our verdict, Savannah. Here we go. Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 15, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21, guilty. Count 22, guilty. Count 23, guilty. I'm pausing because it's coming in. Count 24, guilty. Count 25, guilty. Count 26, guilty. Count 27, guilty. Count 28, guilty. Count 29, guilty. Count 30, guilty. Count 31, guilty. Count 32, guilty. Count 33, guilty. Count 34, guilty. That is 34 felony counts here, all guilty verdicts. Savannah and Lester, back to you.
A total victory for the prosecution here. Laura, the jurors obviously bought the prosecution case in full. There was a consideration of whether or not they might split their verdict or compromise in some way. That is not the case. It's a total rejection of the defendant's case, Donald Trump's case. And we're starting to show you some of the scene outside the courthouse. We could actually hear it, Laura, as you were reading that verdict. And just as you're digesting it, and I know you're keeping your eye on the courtroom as well, what do you make of this verdict?
Savannah, it's a resounding victory for this prosecution in a case that they pitched as something far greater than about hush money. The way they tried to cast this case was about the subversion of democracy, and today the jury agreed with them, Savannah. The former president has tried to cast this as a political prosecution, a political hit job by a Democratic elected DA, by a judge that was biased against him. But these 12 jurors, these 12 New Yorkers have come to a different conclusion, an independent conclusion, that the former president of the United States is guilty of 34 felony counts. You can hear the crowd here. There's a lot of Trump supporters out here that you can hear are very worked up. As I was reading the verdict, I could hear the crowd emotion growing behind me. I'm only a couple yards away from the area that you can see on your screens right there, sort of the First Amendment area, if you will. It's just a stone's throw away from the press area. It's been growing as the day went on. It was growing after they heard that this verdict was coming in. A lot of emotions running very high in this city right now. Again, this is the presumptive GOP nominee in the middle of an election year for things that he did, that the prosecution said he did to try to corrupt the last election. A just remarkable scene playing out right here in Lower Manhattan.
I want to read, we're getting some color from the courtroom. Tom Witter saying Trump is looking at each juror as they are polled, craning his head at times to look at all the jurors. We're still waiting for kind of a read on what the reaction has been. The former president, of course, has been behind closed doors in a holding room throughout the trial, frankly, but certainly waiting.
Top of the news, former President Donald Trump, current candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States. Donald Trump has been convicted of 34 felony counts. He will be sentenced on July 1st. That concludes this NBC News special report. We have much more on our streaming network, NBC News Now. You can also join Tom Yamas tonight for a special verdict wrap-up at 9 o'clock Eastern. Lester Holt has much more straight ahead. Nightly news begins in just a few moments. I'm Savannah Guthrie. This has been an NBC News special report.